Everyone's focused on Tesla's robotaxi launch, but the real story isn't the small number of cars deployed, it's the invasion strategy behind them. Welcome to Connecting the Dots, the channel where we follow the breadcrumbs to predict where disruptions will take us. Tesla just launched its robotaxi service with a handful of Model Ys and a $4.20 flat fare. With Waymo's 1,500 cars handling over 250,000 rides per week, analysts think Tesla will find it hard to compete. But Tesla isn't trying to compete. They are busy rewriting all the rules. In this video, we will discuss why Tesla's $4.20 fare isn't merely a launch gimmick, it's a profitable price that will destroy competitors who try to match it. We'll see the two technological triggers Tesla is waiting for before unleashing exponential fleet expansion across entire cities. We'll show how Tesla can use a weapon they do not own to instantly acquire hundreds of millions of ride-hailing users. And mostly, we'll reveal Project Celeritas, the systematic game plan turning Tesla's robotaxi pilot into total market domination. The name comes from the Latin word for speed and agility. In physics, Celeritas stands for the speed of light. It's the c in Einstein's E equals mc squared. But this isn't about physics, it's about the art of war. Here, it symbolizes Tesla's lightning-fast strategy to conquer an industry aching for disruption. Before we launch, if you like my videos, please smash that like button. It really helps if it's early in the video. A huge shout out to my latest patrons, Doug P., Bree I., Marvin VH, Reginald B., and Bob M. Without patrons, this channel wouldn't be possible. So thanks, guys. And to all my patrons, you guys rock. If you too want to help keep this content going, consider joining me on Patreon for as little as $1 a month. Now buckle up and get ready because Tesla's robotaxis are about to disrupt transportation as we know it, and disruptions are never boring. Preface: Dave Lee, bearded Tesla guy, Sawyer Merritt, Herbert Ong, and Dr. Know-It-All walk into a bar. This isn't a joke, it's more of a riddle. You've probably watched several robotaxi videos by now, so this video will be different. Instead of repeating what you already know, we'll go into technology and strategy. Real threats that Tesla fans miss, and strengths that analysts can't grasp. Here's an example of what I mean by different. When these Tesla influencers rode in Tesla's robotaxis, they all hit the support button. Each asked a different question, but try noticing what all of them did.
Tesla robotaxi support today.
Sorry, it was just an accident. Actually, while I have you online, can you explain the different ways the Tesla monitor can help, what their role is in the car?
Well, their role is
in support. You are currently queuing agent and will be with you shortly. Oh, cool.
Tesla robotaxi support. How may I help?
All right, we're just testing out the support and seeing how you guys do this. So we can basically just ask any question, or how does the support work?
Connected to support agent. Hello?
Tesla robotaxi support. How may I help?
No, I'm sorry. We just pulled over to see what would happen, and then we resumed the ride.
The obvious answer is that they all tried Robotaxi's customer support, but here's something else they did. They created training data. Every interaction, every question, every confusion, it will all be fed into Grok to automate customer support at massive scale. Tesla isn't just launching robotaxis. It's building a data collection machine where every function gets automated. Customer support started manual, but while the network scales to millions of rides, support staff will stay surprisingly small, as most work will be done by Grok. That's just one example of what's hiding in plain sight. Tesla's robotaxi strategy runs much deeper than anyone realizes, and today we're going to uncover the complete game plan, one that reads less like a business plan and more like military conquest. Chapter 1. The threats we are blind to. Tesla fans are celebrating. The robotaxi service has finally launched, FSD is improving exponentially, and Cybercab is coming. But while we're busy counting Tesla's advantages, analysts see a different picture, one where Tesla's robotaxi dreams could hit a wall. I'm not talking about analysts who still think robotaxis will never happen, or even those predicting it'll take years. Even bullish analysts who believe that Tesla's robotaxis are here to stay often ponder massive threats that we as Tesla fans consistently oversimplify and completely ignore. I know firsthand because before making this video, I did the same, and I was wrong. To expose our collective blind spots, this chapter takes the analyst's perspective. By the end, I think you'll agree these threats are real and shouldn't be dismissed. But it's not all doom and gloom, because chapters 2 and 3 will reveal there are also things the analysts are missing. 1A, the Waymo Wall. Let's start with that other autonomous company, Waymo. Sure, Tesla has advantages over Waymo, cheaper vehicles, faster production, better data collection, but Tesla fans are missing two critical points. First, Waymo doesn't need to beat Tesla everywhere. They just need to win where it matters most. Remember the 90-10 rule? Uber operates in over 10,000 cities worldwide, yet over half its ride-hailing profits come from fewer than 20 cities. San Francisco, New York, Los Angeles, London, Tokyo, São Paulo, Sydney, and others. While Waymo's reliance on HD mapping and expensive hardware makes global scaling difficult, conquering 20 cities is absolutely doable. If Waymo controls those crown jewels, they'll dominate ride-hailing's most profitable markets. This alone could potentially kill Uber and Lyft, but more importantly, create a moat that Tesla would find hard to breach. Waymo knows this, and they're moving fast. Waymo operates in 8 such cities, with plans to expand soon, and they're not playing around. In San Francisco's ultra-competitive ride-hailing market, Waymo has captured over 25% of rides, comfortably passing Lyft and now targeting Uber. The Austin example also tells the story. When Waymo and Uber joined forces to run Waymo cars on Uber's network, in under a month, Waymo grabbed 20% of all rides. That's the power of the driverless experience. If Waymo secures key markets first, Tesla faces an uphill battle displacing them. But with Waymo's absurdly expensive and Cybercab dirt cheap, this shouldn't be a problem, right? Not exactly, and in fact, this is our second blind spot. Let's first consider the vehicles. The cost of a Waymo is estimated between $175,000 and $250,000. A Cybercab? Between $18,000 and $25,000. That's roughly 10 Cybercabs for the cost of a single Waymo. Huge advantage to Tesla, right? Unfortunately, not as huge as it seems. Let's do the math. To help Tesla's case, let's use extreme numbers. Waymo at $200,000 and Cybercab at $0. That's right. Let's imagine Tesla is so efficient, it gets Cybercabs for free. To further help Tesla, let's assume Waymo's lifetime is 600,000 miles and Cybercab's is 1 million. The numbers are credible. LFP batteries have extremely long lifetimes. This BYD EV cab covered almost 450,000 miles in under 5 years and is still going strong. Waymo's upcoming cars are based on Zeekrs, and no reason they won't achieve similar longevity. Assuming 2/3 of the miles were paid, that's 400,000 paid miles for the Waymo and 667,000 for the Cybercab. Dividing vehicle price by paid miles gives 50 cents per mile for Waymo and 0 cents for Tesla. That's a 50-cent advantage. Sounds massive, right? It is, but it's nowhere near enough. For perspective, Lyft fares are 60 cents per mile cheaper than Uber, yet people are content with one ride-sharing app. And since they already have Uber, even 60 cents per mile and no surge pricing are not enough to get most people to switch to Lyft. If Tesla wants to win, they need something different, because just knocking half a dollar off Waymo's price per mile won't cut it. Even worse, that 50-cent advantage is disappearing. Saying Waymo's cost $200,000 is misleading because Waymo plans only 2,000 additional 5th-generation cars, with 6th-generation production starting next year. To assess Waymo's viability, we need future costs, not legacy ones. The upcoming 6th-generation car is much cheaper. The price of the car plus sensors should be under $50,000, but let's very generously assume the finished car costs $100,000. With 400,000 paid miles, the cost per paid mile becomes 25 cents, and with Cybercabs being free in our extremely exaggerated example, that's Tesla's entire cost advantage on the robotaxi vehicle. Not exactly a knockout punch. Sure, we gotta add charging cost differences, maintenance, and more, but the bottom line is clear. If Waymo fortifies itself in crown jewel markets, Tesla will need far more than an inexpensive vehicle to breach their moat. So, what about that low $4.20 fare that Tesla uses? Analysts see this as a meme or a gimmick, just a way to get influencers and fans beta testing the network for almost free. Once public, prices should rise significantly. Analysts aren't alone here. With such low pricing, everyone I talked with is certain that Tesla only used it for the launch and will soon raise prices. While highly likely, I'm not convinced. I think that $4.20 is here to stay. Tesla's robotaxi should drive safer than the average human driver, and by end of year it should be 30 times safer. Eventually all cars will be autonomous and accidents will be rare, but currently over 1 million people are killed yearly in traffic accidents. On any given trip, the odds of an accident are low, but drive day after day, year after year, and accidents become inevitable. Since the consequences can be serious, we minimize risk with safety features and always buckle up. This simple precaution gives peace of mind to focus on the journey. These days, we spend more time online than on the road. So similarly, while browsing might seem safe day to day, over time, risks stack up. Hackers can steal your identity, authorities dig through years of browsing history, and ISPs sell your private data to insurance companies. These things happen daily, and the consequences can be severe. Browsing history even appears in divorce cases to prove infidelity. To minimize risk, I use NordVPN, which sponsors this video, but I've been using them for years. A friend recommended them, and after trying, I never looked back. NordVPN protects your data and identity across all devices, keeping your online activity private. Beyond safety, I use it to watch my home streaming service when traveling abroad, and to access content localized to other countries when at home. I even used it to sign up for X Premium before it was offered locally. It's fast, doesn't slow my browsing, and their third-party verified no logs policy ensures nobody can get my data even if they want to. Think about it. Would you drive daily without a seatbelt? If that sounds reckless, don't take similar risks with your browsing. To get started, use my link in the description, nordvpn.com/dots, for 4 extra months on the 2-year plan, plus a 30-day money-back guarantee. It's risk-free, so go to nordvpn.com/dots and give them a try. I think you'll find the added peace of mind as valuable as I do. 1B, the Uber Riddle. Tesla fans assume that eliminating the driver automatically beats Uber. But here's a troubling question. If lacking a driver is such a massive advantage and robotaxi costs are just 50 cents per mile, why is Waymo more expensive than Uber? I'll answer this in the next chapter, but the answer reveals the second threat. Drivers don't just get paid for driving. They cover car costs, fuel or charging, maintenance, cleaning, and insurance. By eliminating drivers, Tesla inherits all those costs. So let's ignore the driver and focus on Uber's economics alone. An average San Francisco ride costs $15.58. With a $2.50 booking fee and 20% service fee, Uber's cut is around $8. From this, they run the network. Yet years after starting, they're still losing money. Tesla needs to do everything Uber does, plus everything drivers do. So should we even consider the $4.20 ride price as anything but a gimmick? To be fair, Uber's San Francisco pricing is much higher than Austin's, so it's somewhat apples to oranges. I asked a few friends about their Waymo and Uber experience in the area. Bradford Ferguson said short rides on Waymo via Uber cost $8 to $12, and Dr. Know-It-All checked longer rides.
And currently at $4.20, yes, that's what it is, flat rate for whatever trip you want to take. I did some comparisons. I would go on Uber and I would just look up the same trip. It was somewhere around 4 times more expensive to 5 times more expensive for the particular ride, but we don't know exactly what Tesla is going to charge eventually. I expect they will charge something similar to Uber/Waymo, especially while there are very few of the Tesla robotaxis on the road at this point, because they don't want to create so much demand that people can't actually get rides. But over time, I expect they will try to drop the price below Uber's regular prices so they can drive customers to robotaxi and undercut Uber and Waymo's service.
Shout out to Bradford and John. So apples to oranges or apples to apples. Whichever way Uber's cut is far more than $4.20 and they're still losing money. Let's face it, if running the network alone, without spending a cent on buying the car, charging, cleaning, and maintaining it, costs far more than Tesla charges, then our starry-eyed talk about sub-$1 rides seems misinformed at best. 1C, the bottom line. These points have merit and should be considered, but as we'll soon see, they are mostly flawed. The main thing to keep in mind, which is true as hell, is that beating Waymo requires much more than not using LiDAR and making a cheaper car. And to a lesser degree, but still true, that beating Uber takes more than just ditching the driver. We oversimplified, there's more to it than that. If Tesla wants to dominate ride-hailing, it must offer significantly reduced prices or a vastly improved experience. Incremental gains won't cut it, only full-on disruption will. Disruption of traditional ride-hailing and of Waymo-style autonomous ride-hailing as well. Tesla needs to engineer disruption, and they need to execute lightning fast. Hence, Project Celeritas. Chapter 2, Cracking the Uber Riddle. I said all points have merit and should be considered, yet all are flawed. So what gives? Let's tackle them in reverse order. This chapter addresses the Uber claims, the next tackles Waymo. But first, let me be clear. I believe that the flat $4.20 fare wasn't just a launch gimmick. We'll delve into pricing in Chapter 4, but for now, I'll say it's a legitimate price where, remarkably, Tesla should be profitable. With that established, let's address Uber. We asked how could a $4.20 fare possibly be profitable when Tesla needs to do everything Uber does, plus everything drivers do, yet even $8 per equivalent ride isn't enough to cover Uber's operations alone. It's a flawed question that not only analyzes Tesla's robotaxis by analogy rather than first principles, but is also based on false assumptions. 420 isn't enough for Tesla to do even half of what Uber does, but thankfully, it doesn't have to. While Tesla shares some expenses with Uber, app development, customer support, back-end operations, most of Uber's massive cost structure simply doesn't apply to Tesla's robotaxi model. Let's break down why Uber burns cash despite taking an $8 cut per ride. 2A. No driver recruitment and retention wars. To keep enough drivers on the road, Uber often loses money on rides, paying drivers more in incentives than it earns. $6 billion per year go to driver incentives, onboarding, support, and recruitment marketing, costs Tesla avoids entirely with its driverless fleet. 2B. No customer acquisition battles. Uber subsidizes rides heavily through discounts and promotions while paying drivers extra to provide service. Another $3 billion goes to customer acquisition marketing. Tesla's approach is fundamentally different. With superior autonomous technology and no driver costs, customer acquisition happens organically. The experience sells itself. When OBI polled San Francisco ride-hailing users who'd tried Waymo, 70% preferred driverless cars despite Waymo being 31 to 41% more expensive than Uber and Lyft. People love the technology, consistency, safety, and no tipping. This preference shows in the numbers. Waymo captured over 25% of San Francisco's market, surpassing Lyft. In Austin, Waymo grabbed 20% of Uber's rides within a month of launching. With autonomous rides getting 70% preference rates even at higher prices, Tesla won't need a $3 billion marketing budget to steal Uber's customers. Stealing them from Waymo is very different, but we'll see that in Chapter 3. 2C. No driver classification warfare. These aren't Uber's only expenses that Tesla avoids. Uber faces constant legal battles over driver classification as independent contractors, not employees. These lawsuits cost Uber hundreds of millions in settlements and legal fees, with potentially devastating labor reclassification threats hanging over every market. Tesla sidesteps this entirely. No drivers means no employment law headaches, no classification battles, no union negotiations, no lawsuits by disgruntled drivers. 2D. No failed innovations. Uber burned billions investing in autonomous vehicle research, flying cars, and moonshot projects that largely failed. Meanwhile, Tesla already has the world's most advanced real-world AI driving system and continues improving it as part of their core business. Relatively minor changes are required to fit FSD for robotaxi use, and every mile driven by Tesla owners adds data for robotaxi fleets training. No separate R&D budget required. 2E. Lower insurance and safety overhead. Uber maintains massive insurance policies covering millions of independent drivers across thousands of cities, each with different risk profiles and driving records. Tesla's fleet operates with uniform safety standards, consistent maintenance, and predictable risk patterns, potentially yielding much lower insurance costs per mile. If self-driving progress continues as predicted, by year-end it should achieve superhuman driving skills, far exceeding average drivers. This should considerably reduce accident risk and lower insurance expenses well below human driver levels. Beyond insuring cars, passengers, and third-party damage, Uber spends around 4% of revenue insuring drivers themselves. Drivers need coverage for all service miles, including empty driving. With Tesla and Waymo, there's no driver injury risk. 2F. Uber's hidden driver economics. So far, we've discussed Uber expenses that Tesla avoids, but what about the driver's cut? Everyone knows robotaxis don't need drivers, but few understand the full economic impact. Eliminating drivers saves the obvious cost, but that's the tip of the iceberg. Uber originally launched as ad hoc carpooling, where drivers could pick up rides along normal commutes. If drivers head that way anyway, all that's needed is to cover the inconvenience of small detours and car sharing. That model couldn't sustain reliable service, so the platform evolved. Today, over 80% of Uber rides are dedicated pickups by drivers treating it as part-time or full-time work rather than convenient carpools. This means every Uber ride's fare covers not only your A to B trip, but also the driver's pickup journey, dead time between rides, daily commutes to service areas, and even lunch breaks. Drivers spend roughly 40% of time with no passenger generating revenue, but still expect compensation covering expenses plus living wages. priced into your ride. Driverless robotaxis eliminate all this. Robotaxis don't need payment for idling, commuting, or driving empty between pickups. For both Tesla and Waymo, cost savings extend far beyond obvious drivers' wages. 2G, the bottom line. Analyzing Tesla by analogy with Uber is wrong, considering so many of Uber's costs don't apply to Tesla. Tesla's costs should be calculated independently on first principles. Waymo shows us that a whopping 70% prefer the driverless experience over regular rides, even paying higher prices. So if Tesla's $4.20 fare is indeed profitable, while comparable Uber rides cost $10 to $18, it's game over for Uber. Chapter 3. Breaking the Waymo Wall. Beating Uber is easy, but what about Waymo? Let's tackle the questions we previously raised. 3A. Surge pricing. Analogy-based analysis raised another question. If Waymo is driverless too, why do they charge higher prices than Uber? One reason? They can. Take Uber's surge pricing, used to attract more drivers during peak hours to increase supply. Supply is elastic, higher pay brings more drivers to these hours, but demand is inelastic. Most people need work commutes at specific times, so surge pricing only marginally affects demand. Most won't delay commutes for off-peak savings. They'll either swallow the surcharge or use Lyft. Surge pricing doesn't change Waymo's supply, but they use it anyway. Officially, they're flattening demand, but as discussed, the effect is marginal. Moreover, Waymo's fleet is so small it's highly utilized most hours of the day, regardless of surge pricing and with long wait times even off-peak. The only reason Waymo uses surge pricing is that Uber does. Users are willing to pay a premium for Waymo over Uber, so when Uber charges more, so does Waymo. With very limited supply and hours of high demand, Waymo harnesses market forces and raises prices. With billions in annual operating losses, Waymo takes every dollar possible. 3B, the effect of scale. Another reason Waymo charges more than Uber is simple economics. They desperately need revenue. Their real problem isn't technology, it's scale. With revenue from only 1,500 cars funding an entire company, the math is brutal. Waymo employs around 3,000 people. With only 1,500 cars operating, each car must pay almost 2 employees' salaries. And these aren't minimum wage workers. These are top-tier AI engineers, robotics specialists, and software developers commanding Silicon Valley salaries. And we haven't counted contractors, massive compute expenses for training their models, or basic operational costs. They're planning for 3,500 cars by the end of 2026, but even this ambitious target falls short of profitability. When your entire fleet must support thousands of highly paid engineers, every ride becomes a desperate attempt to keep the lights on. Alphabet may pay the bills, but sustainability remains distant. 3C, the scaling problem. Waymo needs massive scale before Tesla arrives, but they're fundamentally slow at scaling. This isn't just manufacturing more cars, it's about their entire business model being capex heavy and operationally complex. Each new market requires extensive HD mapping, months of testing, and careful calibration. The retrofit process for adding sensors to base vehicles is lengthy and expensive. Even planned Gen 6 vehicles, while cheaper than current models, still require significant sensor integration and calibration time. Here's where Uber's original genius shines. Uber's biggest advantage over traditional cab companies wasn't technology. It was being capex light. They didn't own cars. So getting 1,000 cars to enter a city or 10,000 to dominate it meant mostly recruiting drivers. The cars already existed. Uber just convinced their owners to join the platform. Waymo faces the opposite problem. It is a capex-heavy anti-Uber. Even downplaying their costs shows this. If Gen 5 cars cost over $150,000, deploying 1,000 cars requires an outlay of $150 million. And what about 10,000 cars for dominating major cities at peak demand? That's a cool outlay of $1.5 billion for one city only. And I only counted the vehicles, excluding the cost of HD mapping entire metropolitan areas, customer support, logistics, and more. With only 5th-generation cars through end of 2026, they can only inch forward. And even with 6th-generation cars, capital requirements remain massive. In comparison, 1,000 cybercabs should cost Tesla only $25 million, and 10,000 would be $250 million, with ride revenues covering costs in under a year. The main problem with Waymo's expensive Franken taxis isn't their effect on costs per mile, it's that funding them and building them are limiting factors on quickly reaching scale. Disruptions require companies to move fast. Had they been able to move faster, Waymo could have seized crown jewel cities. But as it is, they blew their chance. 3D Waymo's unique expenses. Analysts assume that beyond cars, Tesla's costs should resemble Waymo's. But like with Uber, reasoning by analogy is wrong when based on false assumptions. Waymo carries R&D expenses Tesla simply doesn't have. Their small fleet spreads enormous development costs across minimal revenue. Meanwhile, Tesla's self-driving R&D was already done for regular cars, with only minor modifications needed for robotaxi deployment. Waymo needs dedicated teams for HD mapping, sensor fusion, vehicle integration, and safety validation, all separate from core AI development. Tesla's approach of using identical FSD systems across their entire fleet means these costs were absorbed by their car business. If Waymo moves fast and reaches real scale with Generation 6 and later vehicles, they could seriously threaten Tesla. But time works against them, and even in major cities, ramping remains painfully slow. 3E, the 20 cities fallacy. Analysts note that if 20 cities generate half of ride-hailing profits, Waymo could capture them first and create a moat Tesla would struggle to breach. But even this analysis is fundamentally flawed for several reasons. First, without significantly scaling, Waymo is too small to truly dominate cities where they operate. Numbers are misleading. Yes, Waymo holds 20% of Uber's rides in Austin, but that's looking at central Austin. Waymo's share of Austin Metro is much smaller, as anything beyond downtown core uses human drivers. To capture those rides, Waymo needs massive fleet scaling, which they simply can't do quickly. This limitation applies to San Francisco too. Waymo's impressive 25% market share sounds dominant until you realize their service area covers a fraction of the Bay Area. Expand to the entire metropolitan region and their market share drops dramatically. True dominance requires fleet density across entire metropolitan areas, demanding thousands of vehicles per city, not hundreds. Second, say Waymo captures 50% of those city markets. The other 50% remains up for grabs by autonomous cars. If Tesla conquers that, the head-to-head battle between giants becomes something Waymo cannot win, given Tesla's price and capex advantages. Third, this analysis assumes static ride-hailing markets. But markets aren't fixed. They expand dramatically when prices drop. If Tesla enters with significantly lower prices, total addressable markets could double or triple overnight. Suddenly, Waymo's small fleet isn't competing for fixed pies. They're competing on massively expanded markets with the same limited resources. Consider Uber's original taxi disruption. Ride-hailing didn't just replace existing taxi rides, it created entirely new demand. People who never took taxis started using rideshare for short trips, airport runs, and nights out. Lower prices unlocked latent demand nobody knew existed. If Tesla offers rides at $4 instead of $15, they're not just competing with Waymo and Uber, they're competing with car ownership itself. At those prices, many urban dwellers might abandon cars entirely. This isn't just market expansion, it's market transformation. When Tesla enters markets with drastically lower prices, it's essentially game over for Waymo wherever Tesla chooses to ramp. Waymo's high costs prevent matching Tesla's pricing without devastating losses. Their only hope is capturing and fortifying key markets before Tesla arrives, but with scaling challenges, the odds are low. 3F, the bottom line. Analyzing Tesla by analogy with Waymo is wrong because many Waymo costs don't apply to Tesla or are already covered through their auto business. Tesla should be analyzed independently from first principles, just like with Uber, but even more so. If Tesla wants to dominate ride-hailing, they must offer significantly reduced prices or a vastly better experience than Waymo. Incremental gains won't cut it, only full-on disruption, not only of ride-hailing, but of current Waymo-style autonomous ride-hailing as well. Tesla needs to engineer disruption and to execute lightning fast, which finally brings us to Project Celeritas. Chapter 4, Celeritas Foundations. I said Tesla must offer significantly reduced prices or vastly better experiences than Waymo, but they'll deliver both. Project Celeritas isn't about incremental steps or winning by points. It's about being 10x better and disrupting the entire market. Tesla won't just compete with existing ride-hailing, they'll redefine what ride-hailing should be. This isn't evolution, it's revolution. Tesla will eliminate everything people hate about ride-hailing while amplifying everything they love. Here's the kicker. They'll add capabilities current ride-hailing services can't even dream of offering. OBI recently polled ride-hailing users about likes and dislikes. Let's see how Tesla will address each point. 4A Robotaxi Pricing. Price tops people's ride-hailing dislikes. It's expensive, and 69% of OBI poll respondents cited it as a major issue. Of course, the best response to 69 is 420, and Tesla's $4.20 fare is earth-shatteringly disruptive. But it's not just price, it's the entire pricing model Tesla will obliterate. With Uber, you never know exact trip costs. You get estimates, but final bills remain unknown until the trip ends. Waymo improved by showing exact prices up front, but you still need the app to discover costs. Two rides from nearly identical locations have very different prices due to Waymo's complex algorithms. Like everyone else, my initial thinking was that once public, Tesla will raise prices and charge like the other companies, per mile, time, etc. But my initial feeling was as poisoned by analogies as anyone, and going by first principles showed there are engineering reasons for doing otherwise. Going on a limb, but I think Tesla will take a radically different approach. Zone-based flat pricing. Think of it like a city bus system, but with personal luxury autonomous vehicles. Within each zone, every ride costs exactly the same. $4.20 in downtown Austin. You don't need apps, estimates, or wondering. Every ride in this zone costs $4.20, period. There are several ways to manage multiple zones. There is some chance they will use uniform zone pricing, where all zones have the same $4.20 base fare, and the price increases multiplicatively based on the number of zones crossed. Cross 2 zones, and it's $8.40. 3 zones are $12.60. Simple and straightforward. More likely, however, is they'll use differentiated pricing, where each zone has a different base fare, and multi-zone trips often cost less than the sum of individual zone fares. Still simple, as for example, people know that rides from home to any point downtown should cost the same. Tesla won't stop there. I expect subscription models that fundamentally change urban transportation. Visiting Austin for a day or two? Just buy a daily pass for Center Austin or the Austin metro area. Staying for a few days? Just buy a weekly pass. And rest in peace, Enterprise, Hertz, Avis, and Budget. Living there? Pay a few $100s monthly for unlimited rides. With median American car ownership costs at over $1,000, Tesla won't just compete with Waymo and Uber, they'll compete with car ownership itself. 4B, others can't do this. If you're wondering why Uber or Waymo hadn't thought of this, even at higher prices, the answer is they can't. Each company's cost structure contains different elements. Uber must pay drivers for their time, so a ride stuck in traffic costs significantly more than a smooth journey. Without getting paid for time, drivers will ghost gridlocked rides. Waymo operates with limited fleet density, forcing them to carefully allocate vehicles and adjust prices based on demand predictions and expected trip duration. Duration is a huge factor when every car counts. Tesla will flood markets with robotaxis. When one car gets stuck in traffic, dozens remain available for new requests. They can afford flat pricing through overwhelming ride supply. With time not a factor and fuel costs next to zero, pricing can be done by zone, with all rides priced for the average ride. 4C, market forces. Even if Tesla can charge $4.20, why should they? With others priced so high above, why shouldn't Tesla raise prices and cash in on the difference? The main reason, why should they? Chapters 5 and 6 describe a 2-stage plan, with the first stage going slow, and in a few months, something happens and it's balls to the wall. In the slow stage, let's say they have a couple thousand cars doing rides. With that number of cars towards the end of the phase, the difference between Waymo prices and low zonal prices is merely a rounding error on Tesla's balance sheet. And when it's balls to the wall and crazy ramping, Tesla doesn't want people to even think whether to download their app or remain with Uber. They want everyone and their uncle to sign up to the invite list in the first stage and pray hard they'll get access to this wonderful, wonderful robo-taxi service with these low prices. And once Tesla ramps and they get access, Tesla doesn't want people to think twice whether to take a ride or possibly take their car or a bus. The price should break all modes of transportation, because as long as the price is profitable, Tesla can easily add cars for all additional rides. And it's not that all rides remain $4.20, that's just a single zone in Austin, a relatively inexpensive ride-hailing city. But no, I don't think prices will rise much. There's a lot going for zonal pricing and low fares. 4D, rest in peace, surge pricing and tipping. If regular prices inspire frustration, surge pricing triggers outright hatred. Nobody enjoys paying triple rates because it's raining or because everyone wants a ride just as you're done partying and want to head home. It ruins customer experience. But Uber needs surge pricing to attract enough drivers at peak demand and at night. Waymo also uses it because their small fleet forces maximum revenue extraction per ride. If Uber raises prices, so do they. Tesla eliminates surge pricing entirely. $4.20 for South Austin rides during rush hour, $4.20 at 2 a.m., $4.20 when it's raining. Consistent, predictable, fair. Another seemingly small but huge advantage, no tipping. 26% of Waymo users specifically mention not having to tip as a major benefit, and I suspect the real number is much higher. People just don't like admitting they resent tipping culture. With Uber, the awkward tipping dance continues even after the ride ends. How much should we tip? Was the service good enough? It's one more friction point in an already expensive experience. Waymo doesn't have this, and Tesla eliminates it entirely. $4.20 includes everything. No tip screens, guilt, or calculations. They even trolled Uber by including suggested tip buttons at ride end, then popping "just kidding" regardless of which tip was chosen. 4E, solving the wait time problem. The second biggest complaint about ride-hailing was wait times, with 39% of users citing wait times too long as a major frustration. This is where Tesla's flooding strategy becomes crucial. Current ride-hailing operates on scarcity, never quite enough drivers when needed most. Tesla operates on abundance. Here's the math that changes everything. Uber drivers need to be paid enough for the time they're active, regardless of ride frequency. Uber can't position too many drivers to shorten wait time, as they'll spend more of their time idling or driving empty. Since drivers need to make a living from the time they spend, idle time can't be too long. Robotaxis have all the time in the world. Uber's wait times are normally between 2 to 5 minutes in major US cities. However, during peak hours or late nights when the clubs close, Uber's wait times can get to 10 to 15 minutes or more, usually with surge pricing included. Just when customers need them most, Uber raises prices and delivers below-average service. That's poor for retention, but customers have little choice. Lowering wait times requires paying drivers much more, but those 10 to 15 minutes already include surge pricing, tripling normal fares. There's only so much people will pay. For Waymo, lowering wait time requires scaling the fleet, but as we saw, they can't. Preferring to gain foothold in yet another city, they spread their fleet thin and won't address the wait time problem at this stage or in the next few years. Tesla doesn't have that problem. Just flood cities with cars strategically positioned in expected demand areas, and wait times will stay short. Whether cybercabs stay almost full or spend half the time waiting, they'll complete identical lifetime miles and rides, earning the same overall revenue. So waiting empty does not reduce revenue. It only spreads the return on investment over additional months, a relatively small price. And even that won't happen. As shown in my Cybercab Domination video, there are numerous ways Tesla's robotaxis can earn money while waiting for rides or even charging, which makes flooding cities with cars a no-brainer. 4F, the safety revolution. 38% of riders cite safety as a major concern, and this is where autonomous vehicles truly shine. With human drivers, safety is a roll of the dice. You're entering cars controlled by strangers whose driving records, mental states, and intentions are unknown. For women traveling alone or parents ordering rides for children, this creates genuine anxiety. Tesla's robotaxis eliminate human unpredictability entirely. No road rage, distracted driving, or impaired judgment. AI doesn't get tired, drunk, or emotionally unstable. Self-driving should currently match average humans and by year-end should be around 30 times safer. When cybercabs scale, their safety and fluidity will shine, and taking Ubers or driving yourself will seem like unnecessary risks. 4G, ending driver cancellation chaos. 21% complain about excessive driver ride cancellations. This happens when drivers see destinations after accepting and decide they're not profitable enough. Tesla's robotaxis don't have personal preferences or profit calculations. If robotaxis accept rides, they complete rides. No cancellations because the destination is inconvenient. No cherry-picking profitable routes. 4H, no small talk needed. In OBI's poll, 52% of users who tried Waymo put not having to talk to the driver as one of the major reasons they prefer autonomous rides. Advantage Waymo and Tesla. But Tesla takes the experience further. The car arrives pre-configured, with the HVAC set to your preferred temperature and your streaming services ready on the infotainment. With Model Ys, you'll control infotainment through the app or the car's rear screens. With Cybercabs, get ready to watch favorite videos on the large center screen. 4I, the bottom line. Tesla will address every ride-hailing complaint and bolster everything people like. With outrageously low, consistent fares and monthly subscription options, as well as low wait times, safe driving, and personal high-tech car spaces, demand will be outrageous. If they move fast enough to meet it, it's game over not only for Uber and Waymo, but also rental companies and possibly the entire car business. Let's see if they will. Chapter 5, Project Celeritas, Phase 1, Controlled Invasion. 5A, the Exponential Deception. Tesla's rollout strategy will look deceptively slow to outsiders, then suddenly overwhelming. That's not because Tesla is holding back, it's because exponential growth always feels that way. What appears to be cautious measured expansion is actually a carefully orchestrated exponential curve designed to train systems, gather data, and build unstoppable momentum. Exponential growth looks like a hockey stick, flat, 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 then shoots to the moon, but plotting the same data on logarithmic scales makes exponential growth appear as perfectly straight lines. Tesla's robotaxi deployment follows this exact pattern, and understanding it reveals why their strategy is so devastating. Tesla starts with surgical precision, learns at exponential speed, then unleashes that knowledge across ever-expanding fleets. But there's more to their cautious start than learning. They're also waiting for two critical triggers. 5B, the real triggers. Tesla's measured approach isn't just about perfecting operations. It's about timing their massive scale-up with two game-changing milestones that will transform their economics and risk profile. The first trigger is unsupervised FSD. By end of 2025, Tesla expects self-driving to be roughly 30 times safer than average human drivers. Reaching superhuman driving capabilities doesn't bring incremental improvement. It makes all the difference between making extra cautious growth and charging forward to confident scaling. Once Tesla demonstrates superhuman safety performance, regulatory approval also becomes easier and public acceptance accelerates. The second trigger is mass production of Cybercab. Currently, Tesla's robotaxi fleet uses Model Ys costing around $45,000 to produce. But purpose-built Cybercabs should cost closer to $25,000. This isn't just cheaper vehicles, it's scaling with sustainable unit economics. Cybercabs require low capex and cover cost in under a year, enabling aggressive expansion without draining Tesla's war chest. Once these milestones hit, expansion begins in earnest. Until then, Phase 1 focuses on data collection, optimization, and cautious growth. These triggers explain why Tesla seems content with a small Austin fleet for now. They're not trying to compete with Uber's current scale. They're waiting for the moment when they can leapfrog everyone with superior technology and economics. Once both triggers activate, Tesla's exponential expansion will be unstoppable. 5C, the Austin Robotaxi Bootcamp. Tesla's Austin launch isn't about generating revenue. It's about creating perfect training environments for both humans and AI systems. Every decision optimizes for data collection and process refinement, not immediate profit. The fleet starts small, just 10 to 20 company-owned Model Ys with safety drivers. This isn't from Tesla lacking confidence in their technology. It's optimizing for learning velocity while waiting for technological triggers to activate. Users like Dave Lee, Bearded Tesla Guy, Sawyer Merritt, Herbert Ong, and Dr. Know-It-All didn't just test systems and travel from A to B, they helped improve systems by exposing weaknesses and providing useful data. Robotaxi riders aren't just testing or traveling, they're helping make Tesla's systems better and more effective. People know this for FSD. When we drive our cars or robotaxis roam Austin, we collect data for further training the self-driving. What most people miss is that Tesla isn't just training FSD during robotaxi rides. Every interaction helps train multiple AI systems simultaneously. Support calls or transcripts are saved for feeding Grok, training it to handle increasingly complex customer support issues. Post-ride cleaning procedures are recorded to train Optimus on cleaning various models. Fleet management decisions, when and where to reposition cars, where to charge, how to respond to demand spikes, are logged for future automation. Order patterns and user behavior data train demand prediction algorithms. And remember how safety monitors in Robotaxi's front passenger seat constantly held their finger on the door's opening button? Some speculated this was for forced interventions, but there were center screen buttons for that. My guess is that clicking the door open button or a trigger under the door handle flags interesting ride segments for FSD training, similar to using the Send to Tesla feature in regular Teslas. Exponential magic happens because Tesla improves multiple systems simultaneously. Each ride improves FSD, customer support, fleet management, and maintenance procedures together. Learning compounds across every operational aspect. The service operates invite-only initially, carefully curated to include influencers who provide detailed feedback without spreading FUD. These early riders become beta testers, but more importantly, evangelists. When someone experiences flawless $4.20 rides where an Uber would cost $18, they don't just become customers, they become missionaries. Every aspect delivers white glove service. Cars arrive immaculate, customer support response times are measured in seconds, wait times start problematic as Tesla launches conservatively, but should shrink rapidly as they add cars faster than new users. The goal isn't efficiency, it's data collection for optimization. Tesla needs early users to have such an overwhelmingly positive experience that honest word-of-mouth marketing does the heavy lifting. Within months, Grok handles 90% of support requests without human intervention. Optimus learns optimal cleaning procedures. Fleet management becomes increasingly automated. What started as small pilots become self-improving, self-scaling transportation AIs, streamlined and perfectly timed to scale massively once superhuman unsupervised FSD and cybercab production come online. 5D, controlled exponential growth. Tesla's fleet expansion follows a deliberately measured pattern initially. 10 cars become 25, then 50, then maybe 100. But this isn't the exponential explosion yet. It's careful buildup while Tesla waits for the technological triggers. During this initial period, growth is intentionally conservative. Tesla adds cars slowly, focusing on perfecting operations rather than scaling rapidly. They're not trying to capture market share. They're building foundations for inevitable dominance. Throughout this year, legacy media and analysts will dismiss Tesla's robotaxis. They're growing too slow. It's just an experiment. They'll never pass Waymo. Look, Waymo added another city. I think Zoox has a better chance. As usual, they have no idea of the tsunami that's brewing. But around year-end, Tesla should achieve unsupervised driving 30 times safer than humans, and cybercabs will start rolling off production lines. Shortly after, rapid expansion begins in earnest. Here's where the math becomes devastating. Tesla will have spent months perfecting operations with a small fleet, training AI systems, and building customer loyalty. When the triggers activate, they won't be starting from zero. They'll push the button to unleash fully optimized systems. Transition from 100 carefully managed cars to 1,000 purpose-built cybercabs happens almost overnight. Then 1,000 becomes 3,000, then 10,000. Each expansion takes identical time, but adds exponentially more cars to increasingly automated systems. Waymo's 1,500 cars currently handle 250,000 rides per week, so a 3,000-car robotaxi fleet should generate 500,000 rides per week. As fleets grow, additional data feeds flywheels, making systems safer and helping secure regulatory approval faster. From outside, Tesla's initial caution makes them look like minor players. They're actually sharpening moves, training to fight and beat reigning world champions. 5e, the new car. Here's a moonshot. Cybercab seats 2 people, while Model 3 and Y seat 5. But for robotaxi duty, like Waymo, the driver's seat is off limits with steering wheels and controls present. Tesla's cheaper models are about to arrive. If they follow Cybertruck and Cybercab with steer-by-wire and brake-by-wire systems, this opens game-changing possibilities. Versions without steering wheels and pedals can carry up to 5 passengers in robotaxi configuration. This doesn't require completely new vehicles, such as recently spotted smaller cars. Even fitting Model Y with by-wire controls will make it cheaper to build and enable producing 5-seat robotaxis on the regular car's production line. The implications are massive. 5F, Geographic Expansion. Tesla will enter new cities strategically and deliberately. Each entry follows identical core Austin playbooks, but with refinements and quicker execution. Initial expansions still require lengthy preparation, but learning compounds with every city. In Phase 1, the goals in entering cities aren't to scale immediately, but to gain a foothold, collect data, and learn. These early deployments focus on high-value urban markets, especially 20 cities generating over half of global ride-hailing profits. Tesla builds public trust, gathers localized data, and trains systems and support teams in live conditions per city. The strategy is clear. Get known in right places and collect data, even if scale remains modest now. Once critical thresholds pass, superhuman FSD and cybercab production, Tesla won't start from scratch in major markets. They'll already be embedded. And then everything changes. That's what we'll explore next. Chapter 6, Project Celeritas, Phase 2, Blitzkrieg Mode. With autonomous driving now reaching superhuman performance, around 30 times safer than average humans, by end 2025, Tesla can start scaling fleets with dramatically less fear of mishaps or public backlash. With mass production of CapEx-light cybercabs starting to ramp, Tesla can do so without massive upfront investment. Behind the scenes, everything is in place. Grok now handles the majority of customer support, Optimus and specialized robots maintain and clean the fleet, and Tesla's internal systems have matured to handle exponentially more volume. What looked like a slow rollout was actually training an army for the battle ahead. Now the systems are humming, and the switch gets flipped. This is the moment Celeritas unleashes its second phase, Blitzkrieg Mode. 6A, the Fleet Evolution Strategy. Tesla's robotaxi fleet starts with current Model Ys. If they soon launch new drive-by-wire models, either Model Y or smaller, then until cybercabs arrive, most robotaxis will be the new cars. As cybercab production ramps up, it starts forming the fleet's backbone. Model Ys or the new car will only be added to support multi-passenger orders and cargo. The final phase, allowing private Tesla owners to join the network, only happens in cities once Tesla has already won the local market. While building the network, Tesla needs maximum control and cannot risk privately owned cars tarnishing the brand. But once they become dominant players, they will start welcoming owner-operated vehicles to handle overflow demand and free up Tesla-owned cars for expansion into new cities. 6B, the support system evolution. Traditional companies would hire thousands of customer support agents to handle a growing robotaxi fleet. Tesla automates this from day one. Initial support calls are handled by humans, but every conversation is recorded or transcribed and fed to Grok. Soon, Grok will handle most support queries. Austin will lay groundwork for automating all aspects of network operations, from customer support to fleet management, route optimization, charging operations, car cleaning, and more. By year-end, all systems should be humming easily, ready to take on new cities. Tesla's AI expertise, with some help from xAI, will enable operations to rapidly scale with only marginal growth in human labor. 6C, the X factor, instant customer acquisition. A huge reason analysts thought Tesla should join forces with Uber was Uber's user base. For most people, a single ride-hailing app is more than enough to do the job, and network effects are strong enough to keep Lyft behind Uber no matter how hard they try. A huge reason analysts thought Tesla should join forces with Uber was Uber's user base. For most people, a single ride-hailing app does the job, so network effects are strong enough to keep Lyft behind Uber no matter how hard they try. With people already complaining about too many apps, analysts see the market as saturated and wonder how Tesla would get hundreds of millions to download yet another ride-hailing app. But Lyft is more of the same, while Tesla brings disruption. I understand people not trying Lyft. It's like Uber with longer wait times and somewhat lower prices. But getting driverless robotaxis with shorter wait times and flat zone-based fees starting at $4.20 is utterly different. Still, this might not suffice, and if so, Tesla has another weapon up Elon's sleeve. With a simple software update, Tesla's ride-hailing app could be integrated into X. Then, all X users in robotaxi-served areas immediately gain access to order robotaxis directly from their social media app. No separate app downloads, no account creation, no onboarding friction. Users scrolling through posts can summon $4.20 robotaxis with single taps, then continue reading their feed while tracking their ride arrival. While Uber spends billions on marketing and user acquisition, Tesla gains instant access to hundreds of millions of potential users, including current Uber users. With users sharing first robotaxi rides on the platform they used to order them, this generates organic promotion money can't buy. Chapter 7, the price war Tesla can't lose. When Tesla floods cities with $4.20 robotaxis, both Uber and Waymo face impossible choices: match Tesla's pricing and hemorrhage money, or maintain current rates and watch customers flee. Either option triggers death spirals neither can escape. Say Uber tries to compete. They slash prices to match Tesla's $4.20 single-zone rates. Instantly, their business models collapse. Uber's average take is around $8 per ride just to cover network operations, before paying drivers anything. At $4.20, they're losing $4 per ride while still paying drivers full cuts. it's financial suicide. Waymo faces worse predicaments. Their massive operational costs, thousands of highly paid employees, expensive sensors, complex maintenance, loaded on what for several years will remain a tiny fleet, requires premium pricing to survive. Currently, they charge higher than Uber, but when Tesla offers $4.20 rides, Waymo's 18 to 25 fares become indefensible. They can't cut prices without devastating losses, but maintaining them means market share evaporation. 7A $4.20 is profitable. The cruel math, Tesla's $4.20 per zone isn't just affordable, it's profitable. While competitors burn cash responding, Tesla generates positive margins per ride. This isn't competition, it's economic warfare where only one side has ammunition. I made a whole video on Tesla's cost structure, but I guess I need to show viability here, so let's do at least basic math. Airing high, let's assume Cybercab costs $25,000 and only completes 600,000 miles, 400,000 paid. The Robotaxi's cost is 6 cents per paid mile. Assuming an average ride in South Austin of 4 miles, 25 cents per ride go for the car. Electricity costs another 7 cents. Full self-driving is mostly paid for and attributable to regular cars. Customer support, mostly handled by Grok, so employee per car ratio is extremely low. Fleet management is a classic job for AI. Cleaning efficiently performed 24/7 by industrial robots and Optimus. Insurance is for unstealable cars with a superhuman safety score. Repairs are for electric cars specifically designed for reliability, with Tesla paying costs, not retail prices, for service and parts. Nearly zero spent on marketing. Creating apps, even good ones, is peanuts for Tesla. Let me know if I missed anything, but a 4-mile trip costs 32 cents for car and electricity, with almost everything else automated and very few people required per 1,000 cars once everything is ramped up and humming along. And that's just costs, without mentioning additional revenue opportunities off-peak, such as doing deliveries with Optimus or using their battery for grid stabilizing. In case you wondered, capacitive wireless charging like Cybercab will use can be bidirectional. We've barely started. To grasp full opportunities, watch my video at the link below. 7B, the driver exodus. Back to Uber. As financials deteriorate, they're forced to cut driver pay or raise commission percentages. The problem is, they can't do either. Drivers, already squeezed by lower demand and reduced surge opportunities, abandon the platform en masse. Many switch sides, sending their Teslas into Tesla's Robotaxi network instead of driving for Uber. Why sit in traffic when your car can earn money automatically? Exodus accelerates as word spreads through driver communities. Meanwhile, Waymo's scaling problems become fatal. Their expensive, slow-to-deploy vehicles can't match Tesla's rapid fleet expansion. While Tesla floods markets with thousands of cybercabs, Waymo remains stuck with their limited fleet of costly vehicles, unable to compete on availability or price. 7C, the off-peak collapse. Tesla's abundance model destroys both competitors' off-peak business entirely. When Tesla offers $4.20 rides during slow periods, while Uber charges $12 to $15 and Waymo charges $18 to $25, consumers make the obvious choice. Waymo's limited fleet, already stretched thin, becomes economically devastating when demand shifts to Tesla. Their expensive vehicles often sit idle while Tesla's robotaxis handle steady streams of low-cost rides. The fixed costs of Waymo's operation, engineer salaries, sensor maintenance, mapping updates, continue mounting while revenue plummets. 7D, back to carpooling routes. Waymo, hemorrhaging money faster than Alphabet can sustain, will first retreat to cities Tesla hasn't entered, then become unsustainable and fail. Uber will revert to its original carpooling concept, drivers only accepting passengers heading in their intended direction. This saves them from complete bankruptcy, but eliminates their ability to provide reliable on-demand transportation. 7E, the bottom line. In truth, it's wrong to say that Tesla will compete with Uber or Waymo, just like it was wrong to say Netflix competed with Blockbuster or Apple with Nokia. In all cases, companies engineered 10 times better mousetraps, and competitors became obsolete. Chapter 8. The future Tesla is building. Building a cheaper robotaxi enabled Tesla to knock 50 cents off Waymo's price, but it turns out that was the small part. With other savings included, they could have knocked $2 or $3 off Waymo's price and called it a day. But Tesla are a crazy bunch. They don't knock anything off someone else's price. That's going by analogy. Going from first principles, they realized that if 32 cents per ride are enough to cover the costs of building and powering an inexpensive car, everything else is inefficiencies. If everything else is automated, inefficiencies can be eliminated, and once scale is achieved, steady state rides should become dirt cheap. They realized, and they went all in. I called it Project Celeritas because I expected speed, but I didn't expect how fast and how strong the disruption will arrive. I started my research with Uber and Waymo, but at this stage they are unimportant. They're already dead, they just don't fully know it. Tesla has bigger fish in its sights, because beyond ride-hailing, its buses, car rentals, and car ownership Tesla will disrupt, and they're not waiting 10 years from now, they're running fast. Tesla isn't just building transportation, they're building the operating system for future mobility. Robotaxis carrying humanoid robots for doorstep delivery services, cars that earn money while you sleep, monthly subscriptions that make car ownership obsolete, AI systems managing entire city fleets in real time. This is bigger than ride-hailing. This is the beginning of a truly autonomous future and our first glimpse of a world of abundance. So here's my question for you. Where do you agree with me and where was I wrong? Will Uber survive this disruption? Or will they become the Nokia of transportation? How fast do you think Tesla can scale from Austin to global dominance? And finally, where do you live and when do you expect to have your first robotaxi ride? Let me know your thoughts below. I read all your comments. If you found this video interesting, please like and subscribe. It really helps the channel grow. Consider supporting my work on Patreon, YouTube, or X to help me continue making these videos. A huge shout out to my latest patrons, Doug P., Bree I., Marvin VH, Reginald B., and Bob M. You guys make this channel possible. And to all my patrons, you guys rock. To help create this content and get exclusive patron videos, join me on Patreon for as little as $1 a month. Visit nordvpn.com/dots to keep your online presence secure and protect yourself from identity theft, scammers, and unwanted surveillance. Now with 4 extra months free. For daily insights, follow me on X at x.com/connectingodots. Until next time, I am connecting the dots, and you are amazing.